Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast.
Hello. Welcome. My name is George Armistead. I am with Alvaro Jaramillo. We are Life List, a birding podcast. Missing our friend Molly Brown today, but we figured we'd soldier ahead. Al, what's happening?
Hello, I'm here. I'll pretend to be Molly. I'll say intelligent things and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd appreciate that.
Yeah. No, maybe I better not. We have a real Molly.
Yeah, it's true.
Nobody should pretend.
Because
then she could pretend to be me when I'm not around, and I would have to face the truth of what that looks like.
It'd be a hard look in the mirror, man. I'll tell you.
Wow, God,
tough look in the mirror.
That's right. There's a lot of truth in comedy, as they say.
Yeah,
I would be there going, "Oh my gosh, that is me. Oh my gosh."
Yeah,
but here I am.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we will soldier ahead with you and I, my friend, and very glad to be here. We've kind of, we kind of had a gap here. Both been traveling a bit, but both been home for a few days, I think at least now. And man, there's a lot going on, huh?
Yeah, lots of stuff happening, and getting home. That means you finish your trips, but you get home to the plants. You got to deal with the plants, right?
Yes.
Right, George?
Yes.
Now that you have a yard and
you're talking about the Mary Jane, right?
That's right. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Different
plants.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I, for one, was spending a bunch of time just clearing out so much growth because it was such a wet winter. So we don't water anything, but it grows like wildfire because it's sort of drought tolerant stuff, and it's still sucking up water that's in the soil. It's crazy. It's weird how these plants are, So I spent some time doing that. There was the little bit of birding, etc. And I hear you have been doing the plants too.
I have been working on the plants, man. Been working on the plants. Kristen and I, I got home a couple days ago. Had a day of rest, basically, where I slept after, being on the road for a couple weeks, long days. And then, then got restless and was like looking at the yard, and I was like, oh man, there's a lot of areas we worked on where there's grass coming up and weeding to be done. And I set the task, said, you know what? I'm gonna attack this patch of lawn that has been giving me the hairy eyeball for a while. It's like I'm gonna go right after it, go get in there. And I did attack it, man. I learned two things yesterday, unrelated to each other. But one is that, like, basically maybe it was like a 12 square foot area of lawn can nearly kill a man. I swear to the high heavens, man, it was like, it's a good workout. My rear end, my hammies, my lower back, pretty sore today.
Your rump.
It's basically like you're basically kind of doing squats the whole time. And
your upper tail coverts?
Yes, exactly. Not the chrism, but the upper tail coverts. Yeah, chrism.
Upper tail coverts.
Nobody uses the chrism anymore. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, man.
Bring back the chrism. That's the shirt I want.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, bring back the chrism. We have a lula. The Alula hangs on.
Alula.
Doesn't have some other weird name.
On. We got the crystal thrasher, so it's still,
crystal thrasher. Wow, I never actually thought about how those two things were related, but it makes perfect sense. Yeah, I thought it was it was like a vegetative thing or something. I was like,
what?
Yeah.
No, it's because the chrism is colored, reddish.
It's like the only part of that bird that's colored. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Of course.
You have learned 3 things now in 2 days. your two things that you told us one, right? That the upper tail coverts can hurt.
Yes. Post lawn destroying, which is very satisfying, I must say. I've never understood just how satisfying it would be to destroy my lawn. I want to get like a T-shirt or a bumper sticker or something that says like "Destroy your lawn." It's like, I don't know. I think it'd speak to people even other than me potentially.
People
But yeah,
would
we
go
did.
by, like 1 in 100 would go by and go, right on, man. And the other
Yes,
would be like,
destroy your
what is
lawn. Yes. Yeah. I think that is a way to go. So that was the first thing I learned yesterday.
Okay. And you probably are still learning that.
I continue to learn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Now the second thing was that if you turn on the Grateful Dead on Spotify and play a playlist, my wife will sing really loudly, but not always in tune.
Huh.
So
Did
that
the
was
Grateful Dead sing in tune?
well, yes, and the Dead and Company had a show here the other night. I would have loved to have gone if I'd been around. It's like one of my great regrets is that I never saw like the real Grateful Dead in their prime, or well, even at the end of their run, you know.
Yeah.
And like I remember I want to say I was like in like 10th, 11th grade when a couple of my friends went to Grateful Dead concerts, and I was like trying to convince my parents that I should be allowed to go to this, and they were like, no chance, no. You know, they were like, you will not be going to that. And, you know, I can kind of understand where they were coming from, but at the same time, I do really regret not being able to take that concert in. But so Kristen and our son Hayden went the other night. I know there was a bunch of other birders there as well. And it looked like it was a great show. John Mayer actually was doing most of the vocals for Dead and Company, who's, I gather, a little bit of a birder, actually, himself.
Really?
Yeah. He tweeted once about Ted Floyd's field guide that he wrote a while back.
Huh.
And I know one or two other birders, I think, that have even run across him here and there. So anyway, he was singing. But I had to learn the hard way that my wife does not always sing in tune when singing along to the Grateful Dead. That was, it was a little tricky. Yep.
Tricky. So
Not
you
the
gotta
best.
like maybe play something else.
I feel like we need to have a talk. Yeah.
I'm gonna get so much hate mail for this, like really get hate mail.
Oh boy.
You know, probably from multi-generation. But
you're doing it again.
I have no interest in the Dead. Like I never had it. And I don't even know, I know one song maybe.
Oh wow.
I have no exposure to them whatsoever. Like I think I know like the people that I knew that actually would follow them, you know, they go to multiple concerts and stuff. Their description was almost like the Dead were just an avenue to all sorts of shenanigans and fun. And that seemed like, okay, that's cool. Like you're going out there and you're going to these situations where people are just having a great time, and you are immediately accepted into that fold, right? So I think that I really would like to have enjoyed that bit, but I'm not necessarily. I don't know that I've ever heard the music enough to know even what they sound like. Almost like I'm totally. You know, never sort of gravitated to them.
So you could not name us. Could you name a single Grateful Dead song?
No, but I know there's one I recognize. I used to play it on the radio.
Touch of Grey, probably. Touch of Grey was the one that really got a lot of radio play, or like Truckin' Wood and a few others. But yeah,
but it's not a disdain of the Dead or anything. It's just never. You know, the only part that really I found appealing was like that whole, all right, let's go and have a big party.
Yeah.
That I kind of say is cool, you know. But yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a not hateable standpoint. I think, like, if you'd come on here and be like, I listen to them and I can't stand them, I think the hate mail might really come at us here. But I think you're on pretty solid. I mean, you're a punk kid. You're all in the punk scene. That was your thing. I don't know how you would have ever come across the Grateful Dead, but like I love harmony.
Dead Kennedys, yes, but not the Grateful Dead.
Dead Kennedys.
So the Dead for me was the Dead Kennedys. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the Dead Milkmen? You know the Dead Milkmen.
Dead Milkmen saw them. Yeah.
Yeah. One of their main
Bitch and
dudes.
Camaro.
Yeah, one of the main dudes used to live right around the corner from me downtown in Philly. Yeah.
The Dead Milkmen.
Yeah, I forget what his name was, but yeah, I would recognize him. It's like, yeah. And everyone's like, his name was Rodney. That's right. It's Rodney.
Rodney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Well, I really like the Grateful Dead. I'm not. I couldn't call myself a Deadhead. Never really have. I've been to like a couple Bob Weir shows and some other stuff. Like,
Right.
I'm not a Fish guy though. I really don't like Fish very much, despite having been to a few concerts.
Right.
Even snuck into a few, but it's good. Had a good time, but it's not my
Do
bag.
Are you keen on the tie-dye and the whole like aesthetic?
Nah, no, it's not really my thing.
Not really. Yeah.
I was more of a hip hop guy more than anything else.
Right. Yeah. That's a little classier.
Yeah.
The tie-dye look is sort of like the painted bunting of clothing. It's like just too many colors. Too many colors. Just choose a few. Choose one or two or three max.
Yeah. Make a decision, people. Come on.
That's right. Not like a multi.
Yeah. Pick a side.
Pick a side. Now we're gonna get the hate mail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's one thing you said something about the Dead, but tie-dye.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it was. I do regret missing the show, but and suffering through Kristen's singing was even relatively tolerable because at least the yard here is looking beautiful, and we had the music going while we were working on the yard, and it's really coming along. We're just a year into this process, and we've destroyed a good chunk along. We got quite a ways to go. There's a lot more going on, but we have this whole bed that a year ago was just grass, and now there's all these things blooming and all these bugs. And I posted a video yesterday of Kristen found this Carolina mantis Utica that had just hatched, and there's like dozens of baby mantises just kind of streaming all over the place. And we're like, oh my God, like we'd watch that whole process kind of unfold over the last year. And it's like super satisfying to see them, take refuge in this plant that we just planted there a year ago. And they're moving in. Pretty cool, rewarding.
Yeah, that there's like an instrument that you sort of see like in Cuba and like Latin American kind of. It's like this wooden thing with like ridges, and they kind of you pass the stick over it, and it kind of makes this little kind of. That's what their eggs look like, right?
Those Uthicas.
Like
yeah,
those that little instrument thing. Yeah. Hey, what I was just thinking about too? It's like, so I might have offended people I don't know. They might, write letters. Well, you just offended your wife with her singing. Jeez, what are you doing?
Hey, she knows, got to speak truth to power, and she knows where I stand on this issue.
I mean, so. We both know this is going out to like millions and millions of people that listen to this. So, it's like.
She has a beautiful voice, just,
Not to the Dead.
Not necessarily the Grateful Dead. Yeah.
Boy. So what about the birds? You noticed any bird, like summer bird activity in your yard yet? Like with birds coming in to get the bugs from the plants and all that?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of call, as I mentioned before, I kind of call this the off season here in summer, but there's been some stuff around. Our hummingbirds, we're seeing quite a few hummingbirds around here earlier than we did last year. Last year we had migrants.
Which species do you get out there?
We get ruby-throated, period.
Oh, that's it?
Yes. Yeah. Apparently somebody needs to study up on his eastern North American birds a little bit more.
Gosh, it seems like it's easy. You only have one hummingbird.
Seemed like a little bit of a leading question there. Yeah. Well, yeah, I am hopeful. I am hopeful and ever vigilant that I'm terrified that Kristen's going to find a good hummingbird, a vagrant hummingbird, I should say.
Right. And you're like, didn't you get the pictures of the tail feathers? Oh my God.
Well, I'm worried she's going to be like, what's this green one with the purple ear,
Yeah, it sticks out a little bit. Like
it's much larger than the ruby throats. I'm totally, terrified that's going to happen while I'm in Colombia in a couple weeks here. But, that'd be a good problem to have. But
definitely.
We'll see. No, the ruby throats are really zipping around earlier than usual. I don't know. I do think there's some stuff going on with the fires, all those fires up in Canada. In Philly, there's been a lot of
Canada.
Oh,
don't blame Canada.
Oh, we're
all part of this.
Yeah, it's the Canadians that did this, Yeah. No, those fires, I don't know if you would have seen, but they just funneled like straight. The smoke just funneled straight into Philadelphia. It was one of the hardest hit cities in terms of air pollution.
Yeah, I was in on a tour, and somebody was from upstate New York, and they were sending pictures of the whole that region, which is and it was just smoky hell.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying don't go outside at all. Like
Yeah,
basically it was toxic outside. There was like
yeah,
literally people could not go outside, and people were doing it, of course, and doing silly things. But yeah, that was really bad. And then like at the same time, there was the I-95 collapse here in Philly.
yeah.
um, which has been national news. And actually, our governor now says he thinks it'll be done in like 2 weeks. As this was unfolding, I was like, you know what? I bet Philly's going to try to take this as an opportunity. Pennsylvania to be like, look how quickly, we get this ship patched up. And I bet you they're gonna do it pretty quick. So it'll be interesting to see. And especially because like I'm around all fall, I am really looking forward to an autumn migration season around here, and that where that happened is right next to one of the best birding hotspots in Philadelphia. So,
Hmm.
I'm like, I plan to spend a little bit of time there this fall. It'd be nice if there was some access.
Hmm.
So we'll see. And for those that follow along, that also where that breach in '95 fell out, and that is also where Four Seasons Total Landscaping is, which
Oh,
was
really?
yes, it's right there.
You think it's connected?
I think like Giuliani went back in and tried to like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Seems unlikely. Um,
We should stray away from the politics, but
their stuff has boomed since then. By the way, since that
yeah.
whole Giuliani
Gosh.
presser, a couple of years ago, that like their paraphernalia is all over the place. People are now booking their event space that when they never did before.
Yeah,
Like their
that's
business is
awesome.
thriving. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
You know, um, huh. So, it's totally changing a little subject about some of that local birding. Have done basically one day of local birding since I've been back. It was yesterday. And the ABA was having an event around here, and I couldn't
yeah. I
take
saw that.
part in that, right? Because I had this pelagic trip, and I just gotten, well, the pelagic trip had to be postponed because of weather. It's happening next week. So instead, I was able to get in touch with Nate Swick of the ABA and the podcast, right? The ABA
Yeah,
podcast. And we went out birding, and it was great. We saw actually some good mammals. Sea otter was new for them, and
ooh.
and uh, long-tailed weasel and
Oh man,
marbled murrelet. It was good stuff. We found
strong mustelids there.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good stuff, man.
strong mustelids, and it was murrelets and mustelids actually. But it was a good fun to talk about birds, birding, birders, podcasting, all of that. We also found a rose-breasted grosbeak in with the black-headed grosbeaks. But what was kind
Oh
of
man,
cool is before I went, we did a little dog walk around here, and it's just near the beach, and boom, there was an eastern kingbird sitting on the wires.
I saw your
And
phone pic of that. That's pretty
yeah,
wild.
that was pretty wild, and people got to see that later. And it is just sometimes like when you least expect it. Those are the best. Like I'm just we're driving out, got the dogs in the car, and I'm like, whoa, that's an eastern kingbird. And what's weird is I think I didn't even look at it with binoculars. I was just like went like photographed it, and because later I was like, I don't think I ever looked at that thing, just because I was kind of excited, and also I got to leave and go and see Nate, pick up Nate from the city and kind of stuff. So, um, it felt like it was one of those days like, you get out and you see stuff, and it was
Yeah,
like, I need to remember this, because I spend so much time at the computer
yeah,
when I'm at home that you can just go out randomly and boom, something is there that's of interest, right?
yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I was reminded that a little bit just with like being here. The ruby throats were much more in evidence than I remember at this season. Usually, I remember them more in July and August in numbers, and then like seeing ruffling swallows kind of over the house here. I don't remember seeing that in June as much.
Yeah.
And then like little parties of blue jays moving through. I'm like what's happening there? And some of that you do wonder if it's like displaced by the fire or something. I don't know, but like
Mm-hmm.
a flock of blue jays moving around in mid-June, I've seen that twice in the last couple of days. You'd
But
think they'd be breeding.
where are the fires, by the way? Like how far north?
I'm not exactly sure, but I thought it was all sort of,
Boreal, right?
yeah. So that's too far north for
Too far north
for
for
the blue
some of that
jays.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Unless they're being moved by the smoke.
which
or-
seems possible.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pushed some stuff around. I don't know how. It'll be interesting to see if there's some good analysis of that after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, kind of in the similar vein now, there's this large-billed tern thing happening.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Down in
Large-billed
Florida.
tern. Florida, which
Not
is
one, but two large-billed terns.
to me what's kind of interesting about this is that I thought the place where you would predict large-billed tern to show up would be Florida because it's the
Mhm.
closest to where they are. But
Right.
it's the place where it has not occurred, and this is like the fourth and fifth record for the AVA, right? Is
Yeah,
it
I know
like
of two other ones.
Illinois?
Yeah, Illinois, Jersey. There was one I think it was like right off the Garden State Parkway or something in Jersey once.
Yeah, and then there was some other. Could it be like somewhere in the Northeast, right? So there was like let's say three or so, three or four. I want to say there had been two in Illinois, but maybe I don't know where I'm remembering that from. But the fact that two of them show up means that there's something going on. Like there's probably others elsewhere, and I'm surprised that nobody's picked up one in the Antilles, or somewhere in the Caribbean.
It's got to be a drought or a fire, right? Something.
It's
Flood,
probably
I guess.
it's probably too much water somewhere,
Mhm.
or
Yeah, it could be a flood.
I mean that's why they migrate. It's usually they migrate into the Amazon and Orinoco basins when they're dry, because they can breed on the sandbanks, and then they migrate out when they're wet, when there's too much water.
Right.
That's what I think happens. But you also
say like rails.
Yeah. Rails. I was
Yeah.
going to say, what else is associated with this movement?
Gray-breasted crake someplace and
Yeah. Azure, the
Azure Gallinule.
Gallinule,
Yeah.
that would be one. Maybe the South American version of the black skimmer. That should be
Yeah, that's right. Is that cinerescence?
Cinerescence. That's real blackish, right?
Yeah.
Real black underwings, black on the tail. Yeah, what
that's
else
got to
could
be a split, man. Freshwater black skimmer, like that one's got to be a split. That thing, it looks totally different.
Yeah. It's migratory. It's there's a lot that could be associated, but we don't really know what the actual factor is, right? Is it, like you said, too much water, or could it be drought, like such bad drought that the rivers are like have no fish?
Stuff dries up. Yeah.
I know there's drought going on in like Uruguay and southern Brazil, parts of Argentina. So, but that's too far south, right? I mean, there's a few large-billed terns there, but not that many. But who knows? Maybe
yellow-billed tern shows up. It's like flying under the radar.
Yeah. If you see a little tern that's got kind of an oversized yellow bill,
pay attention to that.
Look again.
Mm-hmm.
Look again. And I guess, I mean, have you been keeping track of Alaska? It seems like it's a really good vagrant season.
Man, it does. Yeah. And I just saw like Zach Poland out on Shemya put together, I mean, a whole bunch of stuff. Looked great.
Yeah. Kentish plover. I think that was the star of the show.
Yeah.
Which I'm still thinking, like, how do you really know Kentish from snowy? I'm like, I've seen enough Kentish where you see them when they're common. You're like, yeah, those don't really look like snowy, but you don't know why.
Yeah, I'm to the point where I've seen more of those Kentish than I have snowy. It's been quite a while
Yeah, it's interesting that, I guess they had some real good, strong blows from the west. So, shifted out a bunch of things to Alaska. And, we'll see how that bears out, like it's still kind of vagrant season.
Yeah.
It's sort of the tail end.
Yeah, it's it's just about the tail end here now, but yeah. No, it's been good. And then, of course, there's been this ferruginous hawk that has been tracked from Canada, like, was it Ontario?
Yeah.
It was Ontario, which is already crazy, right? That it's
it was
there.
Erio. It's the town of Erio. That's why they call it Erio, right? It's got a name.
The bird, you mean? Yes.
Yeah, the bird. Yeah, they've given it a name like Flacco, but this is better than Flacco.
Don't get him started on Flacco. Yeah.
Is Flacco still alive?
Yeah. There we go. Slippery slope. Yeah.
But so Erio, it was captured in the north. Erio is right on the north part of side of Lake Erie, so right there. And I guess it was captured because something had happened to it. Like I don't know, and it had to be sort of rehabbed for a few days. But then they figured they put a transmitter on it and see what happened, and it's roaming around, basically hitting every single state in the Midwest and now towards the east.
It just hit Pennsylvania yesterday. It was just in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah, Ross Gilardi, I think he basically kind of looked where it was across the border there and tried to figure out a reasonable patch of habitat, went there and found it. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And that thing's really making rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand it though. Do you?
No.
So I guess there's no sign of it being like a captive bird or falconer bird, right? It's just a wild bird that was in the wrong place and got into this.
There are records
issue.
of them in the East, not many, but
yeah,
I remember there was one.
Off.
Yeah, no, that is odd.
Yeah,
and the only other one I really remember in the East was one that showed up at the Eastern Shore of Virginia National Wildlife Refuge on the Delmarva Peninsula. That would have been in the 90s, early 90s or something. I'm sure there's been a few others, but it doesn't happen much.
No, and why it's it's moving around all over the place. So it's interesting. Maybe that's what vagrants do. We always sort of think they go and sit in a place for a bit and then we always assume they just all die. Seriously. That's what we assume.
It's true.
But it's likely not true that they probably survive and just kind of keep on moving around in weird places. But then come to think of it, we have the Stellar Seagull. It's been doing weird stuff, and you can follow where it is just because it's such a unique bird, and it just moves around all over the place for at least periods of time, and it seems kind of content. Maybe this guy's content as well. He's finding enough food or gal. I'm not sure if it's male or female, but it's wild that we have this info.
It's just so cool to be able to kind of, practically live track this vagrant, people are trying to figure out where it's going to go and actually finding it in a number of instances. But it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And
did we talk about this white-winged dove that Stu McKenzie and the guys at Birds Canada tagged with a Modus tower? With a Modus tag?
But I was just going to say, sort of thanks to Stu McKenzie, because he's the person who's been sending out the info.
Yeah.
So that, people can get a look at this thing.
We got to get Stu on here for Birds Canada. They're just doing such cool work up there. It'd be a fun interview at some point in the near future.
But I don't know about the white-winged dove.
Oh, wow. So,
but
just
I have a song in my head now. Yeah.
Just like a white. Al, remember, just Friday night here. Friday night, our neighbors, we saw them going out. Like, where are you going? They're like, we're going out to the Billy Joel Stevie Nicks concert. It made me think of you again immediately, despite the fact that you don't really like either of their music. But
no,
reminded me of our conversation from before. But yeah, just 2 nights ago, man. 2 nights.
2 nights ago,
they were here.
Yeah.
I would actually love to have gone to that concert. It would have been a really good time, I bet. But
don't get Dorian Anderson going on about Billy Joel. Boy, he really just can't stand him.
Billy Joel's really got he's a real firebrand. He's like Like there's people that really love him and people that absolutely hate him. And I've always kind of been a fan, but I'm not like an avid listener or anything. But I remember being young and liking his stuff, and so it kind of stuck with me. But
Yeah.
just like a white-winged dove, here's what happened now. They captured one up in southern Ontario there, someplace. I forget exactly where.
Where it's real vagrant there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, hell of a good bird, like hell of a good bird. And so they capture this thing. They throw a modus tag on it, right? They release it that night. I can't remember the timing exactly, but the thing pings like 5 or 6 modus towers and ends up in New Jersey, in Atlantic City.
Oh, wow.
And
to gamble. No.
So, but what happened, like what's crazy is the speed. It made it they can tell from the modus towers, this thing was averaging 100 miles an hour, like for 5 hours straight. It covered over 500 miles in like a little over 5 hours or something.
How's that even possible?
It must have had a hell of a tailwind, but like, and I think there was like a documented strong northwest wind that night, but like
retro.
Yeah. But I mean, how crazy is that? That's nuts.
Wow.
And nobody saw it in Jersey as far as I heard. So,
and then it disappeared because there's no modus towers south of that kind of thing.
No, I haven't checked again since then. Honestly, there are modus towers, but I don't know if it's been pinging. Like Pennsylvania, we have a string of them from the southeast all the way to the northwest. Kind of, there's like a line there. It's almost like basically nothing can migrate past that line without pinging a modus tower. So there's a broad network there, and it pinged a bunch of them. So, and it pinged some in New York, I think, as well. I can't remember, but it was like 5 of them. I screenshotted it. I'll send it to you later. It was just blew my mind.
In case, like, I don't know enough about it, but here goes. Like, if anybody's wondering what modus is, it's a system where you have land-based, essentially radio, really sort of low tech kind of stuff that is detecting a little radio signal. And they can triangulate if you have enough towers to where that signal is coming from. And that means that you can put this transmitter on a bird that is way cheaper and tinier than you would if you need to communicate with a satellite or something that's really far away. So modus, in a sense, the idea is if you carpet the world with these little towers that aren't that expensive, you could track almost anything, even butterflies, with these little transmitters that are essentially a little radio signal. So that's what modus is and why it's kind of revolutionizing things, because you can do things that are cheap once the system is up. So, you're not paying $5,000 to $10,000 to like track a single bird. So there you go.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating stuff they're getting back from this. Really interesting. Yeah. Well, those were cool things. Less cool, Al, I think, in my book.
Is what? Okay.
Is
That's
this
cool.
This less cool, less emotionally fulfilling, more frustrating is this refreshed go round of ivory-billed woodpecker BS.
See, let's just be honest, George. We notice that some of the best, the top ranking podcasts talk about cryptozoology and Bigfoot and everything. So we just are trying to get a piece of the action here by talking about our version of cryptozoology, which is the ivory-billed woodpecker.
Yeah, we got to dip fully in. Yeah, jumped in the cryptozoology pool here. Yeah.
Right. And it begs the question, what is it about this bird that makes people go insane?
I mean, they call it the Lord God bird, but man.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually asking Nate this question too, because he sort of had his finger in the pie of asking about the validity of some of these sightings. And why is it not, Buckman's warbler and Eskimo curlew, right, have both been documented more recently than ivory-billed woodpecker, like really well, like everybody agrees that's legitimate sighting than the ivory-billed. Yet they don't strike nearly the same chord as this bird. Like, it's insane. And it makes people go a little nutty.
It's very hard
I
to
would say.
explain. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta admit, I think I would be way more blown away by seeing an Eskimo curlew in a sense, because like, I don't know, to me that was the bird that I grew up thinking like I might actually see that one day. I always felt like the ivory-billed woodpecker was done, like it was gone.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my personal opinion. Also, when I was a grad student, I spent some time in the Pampas where they used to winter. So I thought, never know, around the corner there could be an Eskimo curlew sitting there.
Might bump into one.
Just never know.
You see, the Foo Fighters recently had like some promo for an upcoming show, and the artwork featured.
Now we're talking.
An ivory-billed woodpecker.
They were really?
Yeah. It's like, I was trying to find the imagery, but there's like, it's on Twitter. I saw it someplace. It said Foo Fighters inadvertently entered into the ivory-billed woodpecker controversy with artist Pedro Carreras painting this gorgeous, very endangered bird. I think it was for like a upcoming concert.
Right.
But yeah, like coming on the heels of everything else, it was like, it was actually a beautiful painting. It was really pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, ivory-billed woodpecker always did speak to me. I think I mentioned on the pod before how I did like a 7th grade science night report on ivory-billed woodpeckers, when I was in middle school. And I, it's a big, big woodpecker. They are, to see one, would be otherworldly at this point. But like of the North American like extinct birds that seemed like still conceivably possible to bump into, Bachman's warbler was always the one that spoke to me. I was like, you could just picture bumping into like the last, I don't think anymore, but you kind of, as a kid, it had been since the early 60s, the last sightings, certainly into the late 50s.
62 or 63.
That's what I was going to say, was 62, which is same for the Eskimo curlew. And but like there was a DC Bachman's warbler just outside of DC in like the mid 50s, and I know some people went and saw that because it was there like for a while singing. But you could just it's such a small bird. You could picture that thing getting overlooked in some swamp someplace, and all of a sudden somebody just stumbling into a migrant and being like, "Whoa!"
I'm starting to think that part of the reason why maybe the ivory-bill didn't speak to me as much is because I grew up in Canada, where it really was not there, and yet Eskimo curlew was a migrant, and sort of and the whole. I mean, I used to know Fred Bodsworth, who wrote that book, The Last of the Curlews.
That's a good book. Good book. I got that book.
Cool little book.
Yeah.
He was in our bird club. So
I didn't realize you knew him. That's cool.
Yeah. He's so, but getting back to this ivory-billed woodpecker, here's the thing that I think is key. It's like there are people now publishing this stuff in journals of various kinds, right? And they're going through a process where the people are not actually evaluating exactly whether the people saw what they think they saw. They're evaluating the thing in sort of a scientific context. They should put these records through a records committee.
Yeah.
That's what you
people
need.
that are there to evaluate records of rare birds.
Right. And to actually, that's what you need to do. You pass it through like a critical set of sometimes unpleasant people, the records committees, and then you've got something. And for that to happen, you need to have evidence that is. It could even be difficult evidence, but it would have to have diagnostic features, and that is the part that is being missed here completely. Like, you can slow down the video as much as you want and talk about this and the flap rate and whatever I haven't read it because I just don't almost waste my time with it.
Now I get to the point where I just get frustrated.
Yeah.
I do.
I look at the pictures and then none of the pictures look all that good. And then I'm like, oh, another one of these. So
Yeah. I thought I might read this quote I saw in a conversation on Facebook from a biologist I really respect named Eric Johnson from down in Louisiana. He's done a lot of work on black rails. It's a little bit of a longer quote, so bear with me. But I think it's a really good perspective on this. He says, as a field biologist, I often think of detection probability, the likelihood a bird is detected given it is present. For black rails in winter, using playback, a 10-minute point count yields about 4% detection probability. But this means after about 4 to 5 hours in that spot, one should theoretically be able to confirm presence-absence. Their detection radius is much narrower than a Campephalus, roughly 100 meters versus 1,000 plus meters. A yellow rail's winter point count detection is about 0, but there are other efficient methods of finding them. I just don't understand how a Campephalus woodpecker, one of the loudest birds in neotropical forests, is this hard to document. Something like 665,000 field hours have been employed specifically looking for this bird over the last 20 plus years in all of the places this bird would likely persist. The detection probability of that largest woodpecker, a member of a loud genus, a bird that Lowry, Tanner, and others could relocate with modest effort in the 1930s and 40s, would have to be a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of 1%. I want this bird to be alive, but the math doesn't add up. All it remains is hope. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is somebody that knows something about
that
finding rare
yellow
birds.
rails 0%.
Yeah. In winter,
but,
he said. But yeah.
Yeah, but there are other ways of detecting them, which is probably like running a chain full of like tin cans through the that's what the old schools used to do.
Yeah, well, I don't think we need to beat a dead horse with the ivory-billed woodpecker. We just got a few minutes left here, Al.
Well, we haven't even talked about all the stuff we were going to talk about.
I know, man. We didn't. Yeah.
Yellow rail, though, does that bring a happy thought to your mind?
It does, man. It does. And thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, we just did our prairies trip. Unfortunately, bird did not turn up on the tour. We didn't see it, but we heard it wonderfully at pretty close range there in North Dakota outside of Minot. Josh Coville and I were scouting ahead of our prairies tour, which went great. We get out of the car at one spot, and Josh is like, yellow rail, it's calling right there. And that was his lifer. He'd never encountered one before. So that was awesome. I'd only heard him a couple times before, so it was pretty exciting for me as well. And just an awesome thing to hear. Those things really declined there. They used to be a lot more abundant. Chris Sloan was telling me the first time he was out there, like I think it was 20, 30 years ago, that they heard like over 40 of them in that region, which is almost unthinkable now. But yeah, we had a great trip, a lot of great birds, encounters with the long spurs and the thick-billed longspur, despite the terrible names we've discussed, put on a hell of a good show, and the chestnut collars were great. We had a wonderful group, really enjoyed it. And same with the Colorado tour I just co-guided with Carl Bendorf. We did great on that. Had a bunch of great birds, great birders, really wonderful group of folks. Thankful that they traveled with us. We got some nice encounters with white-tailed ptarmigan and Lewis's woodpeckers and Pinion jays. Had a nice big flock of pinion jays. Those were some of the big birds we really wanted to see, but there's a whole bunch of others. But thanks to those folks for coming on that. And we got other trips along those lines coming up. Now, I know you just got back from Las Encantadas, the Galapagos. Yeah.
Welcome to Fantasy Island. Everyone smile. They are like Fantasy Island. The number of birds that don't fly away from you, the birds that just sit there and let you essentially walk between them. Sometimes there's a rule, right? You have to be, 6 feet away or something, 2 meters from wildlife, and sometimes it's impossible to abide by that rule because everything's on the trail. And, you can't get off the trail. So you have to kind of weave your way through boobies and things. And they all kind of look at you. And the park naturalist is, it's okay when, in this situation, birds, and you're realizing you're in such a magical place where nothing is fearful, like even the lizards. We saw all sorts of cool stuff.
Those land
Um,
iguanas are crazy. Those things freak me out a little bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The land iguana and the marine iguana.
Marijuana. Yeah, got to be
The
careful when you
marine
say that.
iguana.
Yeah, marine
Yeah,
iguana.
and then we encountered islands that were green because it's been raining, and that this time of year is usually quite dry and cold water. But the El Nino phenomenon is ramping up so quickly over there that it was a totally different set of islands. There were a lot of finches breeding. Usually there's a few, but it just everything was in song. And I noticed a low level in some of the seabirds. Some of the blue-footed boobies were not in the numbers that you usually see them in some islands. Waved albatross were down. I think they've stayed in the Humboldt Current or elsewhere, just because there's not as much food due to the warm water. It was really amazing to see such a place I've been to many times, see it so differently. And there were flying fish everywhere. We saw, a marlin, which is something
Wow.
I'd never seen there. So very tropical. And then, of course, Kogia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a bad name, but it is the animal's name. It's, there's two dwarf and pygmy sperm whale, but they're nothing like a sperm whale. They're
Yeah.
these little whales.
That's why
tiny
people call them
little whales.
Kogia or Kogia, right?
Kogia.
Because
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
genus, and that's a better handle, and it's much more distinctive.
yeah. And we saw animal jumping up in the air, and we thought it was a dolphin. We really thought, oh, the really active little dolphin must be a common dolphin. And as we get closer, and I'm like, what is that thing? We photograph it. It ended up being a juvenile, like a little baby
Oh, wow.
of the dwarf, sperm whale, Kogia sima, and photographed some adults in the water. And I was not ready for it because I'd always wanted to see these critters. And I thought I would see like I thought it was going to be really flat calm, and these little fins would come up. And then, I would then take pictures of the fins, send them to experts, and they go, yes, indeed. But seeing them up in the air, and where I have a photograph where you can see all the features, almost like the book, I was not prepared for that at all. And the level of how unusual this is, I almost couldn't communicate to the gang. In fact, I talked myself out of it multiple times
Because you couldn't believe it.
even though I couldn't believe it, even though I had these photos. I couldn't. Also, I didn't have the internet. I couldn't connect to something and like look at them and go, oh yeah, it's the same thing. But that was pretty magical. An animal that is probably quite frequent, widespread, and maybe not even all that rare worldwide, but the number of times you have a chance to see one is minuscule in your life. And
Yeah.
the fact that they spend most of the time underwater.
Well, and to photograph one leaping out of the water is pretty ridiculous. Like, there can't be many
crazy.
images like that, I would not think.
No,
for
I don't
that
think so.
species. Yeah.
I mean, it's sad. Most images you find are of them dead on the beach.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Or logging, sort of, where you just see them floating at the surface with little bump of a dorsal over, sticking out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great Galapagos trip. We're going back, but next year is already full. So 25, folks.
Nice.
2025.
That's awesome. Have I told you about my Kogia experience? I can't remember.
Maybe.
Yeah. I've only seen them once, ever. And I can't remember which species, or if we were actually able to determine which species at the time. I think there's one there that's more likely than the other. This was in the Gulf of Oman, in the Indian Ocean.
Oman. Oh, wow.
We did an impromptu pelagic. We ended up getting our birds faster than we anticipated. And so I kind of started asking around, and I was like, we could try to cram in like an afternoon pelagic here. If we
Afternoon delight.
Yeah. If we hustle and talk to the right people. And, the waters there are super, super calm. Like typically it is just flat, like a mirror, and so you get these boats and they're fast. Like you can haul like 30 knots, just like cover a lot of ground quick. So we managed to do it. Actually, Rich and Dean, who well, they were with me on this trip, and a few others, and so we went out from Muscat, and we went out, and I think it was just like a 2.5, 3 hour boat trip.
Were you looking for Juanin's petrol?
We were looking for Juanin's petrol. Yeah, that is exactly what we were looking for.
Joaquin.
Yeah, yeah, which is like such a cool bird.
Phoenix petrol.
Yeah. It's like such a good looking bird, it's like they're all wing, it's just, they're all wing. And it's dark seabird, basically it's like a glider, cause they don't really inhabit like waters with a ton of wind. So they're just like all wing, and they just like glide over these really calm tropical waters. So when you find them, you can actually like motor up next to them. And cause you just, so we try to keep a respectful distance, but we ended up seeing 30 of those guys that day.
Huh.
And like the only other life forms we saw out there were Pallas's gulls. We had like 24 of them. Ooh. And we had about, 2 to 3 dozen kogia.
Wow.
So that's, we saw like, it was like 20 to 30. I can't remember exactly how many it was, but there was a bunch of them out there.
Wow.
And that is all we saw was kogia, Pallas's gull, and Juanin's petrel. We got out about 20 miles, saw nothing until we got there, and then all that stuff was there. And it was like 20 to 30 of each. It was super memorable. It's like one of those days I'm like, man, this is some craziness.
Do you remember like in the old gulls book, and the old European name for the Pallas's gull was Great Black-Headed Gull?
Yeah.
I like that name. I got to admit, even though they're not closely related to blackhead, but great blackhead, because you look at that thing and you're like, whoa, it's huge.
It is huge. I think it and great blackback gull, I think the two largest gulls.
Is that right?
I think so.
But they do have a black head when they're breeding, which is not what you associate with a big gull, right? You always think black-headed gulls, those with a black hood, are a small species, but not that one. It's actually a pretty good name. Bring back the great black-headed gull.
I was like, I realized the eponymous names are, not the best either. I'm not sure that would be the name I would prefer, but I don't know what the good name for that bird would be, but I'm probably not, I don't fall into the great black-headed camp like you do. Yeah.
God, I like it.
Al, I think with our last few minutes here, we should tell folks a little bit about this cruise we got coming up.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Because I'm really excited about it. I'm almost like, can't believe that we're going to do this. We're going to go to the,
I am so excited. Like just as excited as you are. It's people.
Oh, I'm more excited.
Yeah, I'm more excited, man. I'm more excited.
You're more excited.
No, like people ask me what's your favorite trip you've ever done? I don't have an answer for that question. I'm sure like you, we get to do some amazing places, and there's places are different, but this is definitely one of my favorite trips I've ever done, is this cruise of the subantarctic islands of New Zealand and Australia. If you want to find out more about it, just go to Alvaro's Adventures or hillstarnature.com. Either site, we've got it, and we're going. We are going.
We're doing it. We're a code share. We're a code share. We're doing
code share.
I
love it.
We're doing both companies working together.
Yeah.
And along with Heritage Expeditions, who's running the actual show on their ship.
Beautiful ship.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm actually excited about too. It looks like a really great ship. And
it is.
We're going in December, by the way, folks. 24.
Yeah.
24.
December 2024 aboard the Heritage Adventure. It is a great boat. It's a really beautiful ship, super comfortable. I've been on it before. And this route, I think people look at it sometimes and sort of be like, well, this kind of looks like an Antarctica trip. You don't get as far south as Antarctica. It's all, again, it's out of New Zealand. We go out of the south end of the South Island, and we hit 7 island groups, starting with the Snares, and then on to the Aucklands, and then down to Macquarie, And then from Macquarie, we go to Campbell, and then the Bounties and the Antipodes, finishing up in the legendary Chatham Islands. So 7 island groups. It's a little over 2 weeks. It's a remote wilderness. I've done it twice. I think the first time I did it, we didn't see like another ship the entire time, and you just see like a couple. There's the Chathams are inhabited. I think there's like 600-700 people, maybe more now, living on the Chatham Islands. The other islands are uninhabited, except a couple have like biological research stations. So you see like a few people, but basically you're on your own in a remote wilderness that's some of the richest waters in the world for seabirds and cetaceans, and there's even some cool songbirds there too.
Yeah. Even like little parrots.
Yeah, the parrots are some of the coolest. I will. One of my favorite experiences is like the first time we get to the Auckland Islands on this cruise, and I ended up. I forget why. I was like helping with something. I ended up on the last cruise, the last Zodiac into shore, and I get on shore, and I'm like, I start yelling. I'm like, red crown parakeets going over, red crown parakeets going right over the horizon. Now over that boat. And I'm like trying to give panicked directions. Like I'm so excited, and people are looking around like, yeah, we see them. And then like I see another flock and another flock and another flock and another flock and another flock. And basically, I'm the last one on shore, and these things have been streaming by the entire time. And people are like, yeah, like welcome to the party. So that was pretty cool. That was on Enderby Island, which is one we can actually do a hike around, have a chance to see in subantarctic snipe, and maybe even commune with some albatrosses. There's light-mantled albatrosses nesting there, and it's the only place in the world I've ever seen a giant squid. I saw
wow.
It was dead, but it was like still, it was like a 30-foot giant squid roiling around at the base of this light-mantled city albatross colony. That's the kind of place you're going, is where stuff like that. And there's places, what the Campbell Island, we can walk around with, wandering Gibson's albatrosses.
I was going to say that if you start thinking about these island names, there's like a Chatham albatross, right? There's a Campbell albatross. There's an Antipodean albatross. There's a Snares penguin, crested penguin. Like so many of these islands have a bird named, the bird's named for the islands because they're almost, or in some cases, they are the only place where these things breed. But it's amazing how the number of penguins and albatrosses, the diversity here is actually unparalleled. There's no other place that has such a diversity of seabirds, as opposed to any other place, including, those wonderful spots we were at talking to you, a few months ago, like South Georgia and the Antarctic. And here there's more species. Now, there are some that overlap, right? And maybe that's why some people feel like they get confused whether it's this Antarctica, is it not Antarctica? But there are definitely a bunch of things you cannot see anywhere else in the world easily anyways.
Yeah. There are a few things. The Macquarie Island, I think it's been surpassed, but it used to be known as the island with more breeding penguins on it than any other island in the world. And that was in terms of sheer numbers, not in species, but royal penguins nest there in massive numbers, and king penguins are growing there as well. So those two are really abundant breeders there. So that's cool. The furthest south we get, I think, is like 54, 55 degrees south, which is, only a little further south than like Ushuaia, which is where the Antarctic trip departed from.
Right.
So we're much further north. It's not nearly as cold. And it's even a little subtropical when you get up to like the Chathams, where there's like big pigeons, forest pigeons and gerygones and there's always the chance at the super rare seabirds there too, like magenta petrel and maybe even Chatham petrel, axillaris. So people should check it out. Wow. It's gonna be epic, man. I feel like it's an overused term, but it really is one of the best trips in the world.
Yeah, and if you've been to Antarctica or think I'm going to go to Antarctica, they don't replace each other. In fact, if you like one, you're going to like the other.
I think there's 4 penguin species on this trip that you can't see anywhere else. Maybe
Right.
maybe 3 endemics. I have to go back and check, but there's at least 3 endemics that, and including like we have, good chance at yellow-eyed penguin, which is the rarest penguin in the world.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty neat. And I mean, I'm excited partially because I have actually never been there, so you're going to get to see me in my giddy phase. I George will be more in the sort of seasoned naturalist, shipboard naturalist, but I will be in my giddy phase, which everybody loves to see. And maybe not. I think too that one thing is we have a set of cabins sort of set aside for us. And as people book, there might some options may be less likely. So I don't want to be like pushing people, but if you're especially if you want something different, like a single cabin or something, get in touch with us now.
Yeah,
rather than later.
Better.
Yeah.
And thanks for the folks that have already registered. We're really excited to travel with you. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
This is one of the places too. I think it was approaching the Aucklands where I saw one of the largest seabird spectacles I've ever seen. One of these sooty shearwater scenes that, out west you guys get to see a little bit more, but it might have, it was hundreds of thousands, maybe a million. I think something like over 20 million sooty shearwaters breed there. Huge numbers, massive.
Yeah.
It's a spectacle.
A lot of marine mammals too, right? I mean,
yeah.
Not apart from the whales, there's some pinnipeds that are kind of unique to the area.
Yes, and so there are. I'm not as much a fan of those because they can be a little intimidating at times, but a spectacle nonetheless. Yes.
Yeah. No endemic squirrels, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's a big drawback, actually. Yeah, the squirrel enthusiasts, this is probably not going to be the trip for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot believe that we sort of put all this together with we've been talking about it for a bit, and when Antarctica sort of happened and went well, and we also enjoyed doing those podcasts from the Antarctic. I think we're going to try to replay some of that, do some podcasting live, or not live, but at least done while we're at sea.
Yeah, so recording in situ on site there.
In situ, yeah. And boy, who's going to be caring for our plants for those weeks?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Luckily, it'll be December. I'll be in pretty good shape. You might have to hustle.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, good stuff, man. We ought to scoot. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Good to be back chatting with you guys again. Al, have a great day, and we will be in touch more soon. Everybody be good.
All right. Bye-bye.